The grown children of writer and columnist Mary Dell Harrington are living at home these days. When the pandemic hit, both her son and daughter decided to leave New York and stay with their parents in a large house in Georgia.
We've all gone down the sort of COVID learning curve where we sort of figured out how to coexist. It's made me more appreciative toward my children and the closeness that we have.
For some, moving back in with their parents is a choice, but for the overwhelming majority, it's a pandemic-inspired necessity due to job loss or closed university campuses. According to the Pew Research Center, the number of young Americans living with their parents has grown by over 2.5 million since the start of the pandemic. But experts say the pandemic has just accelerated a trend that was already growing.
And so now that people marry later, they stay in education longer, they have cohabiting relationships that may end after a while, they have jobs that are short-term jobs. It takes longer to get a job that is a long-term job than it used to. And you put all those things together, and it makes sense that more of them would be living with their parents or moving back home with their parents.
23-year-old Yaroslava Zonova moved to the United States from Russia in 2017. She has been living with her parents since then. She says she earns enough to afford her own place, but believes it's easier to get through tough times surrounded by family.
It's not that we just live together as a family. My mom and I are also colleagues. We work at the same school and prepare for classes together. When the quarantine started, and it was the happiest time for me, we started making art together and started our own project.
It has been common in the U.S. for children to start living separately from their parents after they go to college. But for the last 6 months, 22-year-old Fletcher Lowe has lived with his big family.
I think that sometimes we stigmatize like living with your parents. Just because I think sometimes we paint with this brush of like that being like a failure. And I really don't think it is, because oftentimes we just, no matter how hard we work, we're victims of our circumstance. Like, it's like take my case, for instance, I was able to, had a job after graduation, and then I just couldn't because, there was a global pandemic.
The trend is true among all ethnic groups, and it's hard to tell now whether that will change after the pandemic is finally over. Karina Befredjian for VOA News, Washington.